to give my best for you, just for you.
Appreciate that.
A short thought about Mamdani, because it's very strange for me because New York City produces very colorful characters. It produced Donald Trump, and it produced also Mamdani, and it's very surprising that a Muslim and very Arab-looking bird, Arab looking, is about to win the mayorship of New York City.
You know, I would say that the herd psychology of the people voting for Mamdani, it's the same type of herd psychology that AOC employs in her political propaganda. And it's very pop or almost like Andy Warholish, where none of the negative videos mean anything. It's all about the now and what the daily news cycle is, because it's just a refresh for everybody. When you see Mamdani smiling with his cute wife, who we met on Hinge, and he looks like such a nice, bouncy young guy. Oh, finally we've got some young leadership to steward the community, fresh ideas, thinking out the box. That's how they frame and brand him when he's probably like an international agent provocateur. I mean, born and, bred and manipulated from Qatar or elsewhere. I don't know if I'm just repeating talking points, but I doubt it. But the people that they fielded, Cuomo, I mean, it's like Bloomberg. It's the same fucking people. So where is the alternative? Where is the other version of Mamdani, who is not a big borrower, big spender, and a woke left activist? So, I mean, it's Curtis Silwa, in my opinion, but Curtis, I don't know why. I mean, all you can do is see what happens at the results. I mean, but it does seem like Mamdani's, fundraising, his organization, all the social media stuff, like he's, solidified it. But is it true communism or is it socialism? Or are
That's
we?
exactly what he said. All you got to do is listen to his words.
Well, how are we not already? How is this not already? The problem is it's corporate fascism mislabeled as communism. It's not necessarily communism.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's the erosion of the language. Where does that sound familiar from?
Well, the problem is he's just
Newspeak, because what they've done, John, and I had this discussion with my daughter, who is hard like me. When you get in an argument about illegal immigration, illegal aliens, they have the protesters sitting on the sidelines with signs that say protect immigration.
Yeah.
So when they're holding the sign protect immigration, they think they're protecting illegal aliens. Okay, but they're using the term immigration.
Migrant rights.
So I go to fucking argue with them and say, illegal aliens, I don't want to protect. We agree then. And they're like, I don't know what you mean. Well, you fucking twisted the word from illegal aliens to illegal immigrants to immigrants. All right? And that's how they do it. They remove words from the language, which is, if anybody has read 1984, it's the definition of newspeak.
Yeah.
If you remove the opposing words into the...
Well, is it worth the effort, though? The problem is the manpower worth the price to remove individuals who could possibly be incorporated into the community, because give them a shot, to pay in, to get in, because so many people just, they're not going to use an immigration attorney and dump all that money to do all the, formation of your citizenship. It's insane. So,
Well, they're doing this. I hate to use Reagan, but Reagan, you know, uh, naturalized. What, 3 million or something like that back in the day.
I don't remember that.
That's what they're hoping to do. But we're in a fucked up spot. Our day to day is okay right now, guys. But if you think about it, 20 million. You know how I think my brain thinks? My brain thinks if a hot war breaks out, how many? I'm going to leave it there. Do you know what I mean?
Well, we already have a hot war broke out. Well,
there's 80,000 in one city in fucking in Minnesota. 80 fucking thousand.
There's no opposing forces though. You're
well, there is.
Who?
They just don't want to be part of it right now, but they're being dragged into it. We have 2 million veterans that are hardened, okay, in the last 20 years. And then you go back, I know guys that will come in from fucking Vietnam vets that will, they're just itching.
Well,
and Michael, look at the states where they're congregating, right? So the states where they've got the safest way to go against.
Well,
hey Joe, good to see you.
Hey, Mike. I was going to affirm you. Yeah, those vets are in the waiting. They're ready.
100%. Misinformation, welcome. Good to see you.
Hey, sorry, as soon as I hopped on, I got a call.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I mean the numbers are staggering. Staggering. That's just illegal through the border.
the vets aren't organizing to take on some opposing party. Vets might be organizing for, local militia peacekeeping operations, but certainly not anything beyond that.
No, I mean, a stat came out. Cash Patel's FBI came out and said, in Chicago, there's over 100,000 gang members.
I think he said
Just
300,000.
think about that. No, just in Chicago, 300 or 100,000.
Are you sure it's just 100? I thought he said 300K, but it is an epidemic
If
here.
it is 3, I won't be as shocked. But
I'm 30 minutes away from John, I think, and I've heard 300.
you guys are in Illinois. I mean, take New York City. This EBT thing, it hasn't popped off yet, but this is also a way to radicalize 41 million people that are on that right now.
Yeah, they say 70% of those people are illegal aliens. 70%. That's what the statistics I saw showed.
Yeah. I mean, not just financially, let alone an actual threat.
But there's also identity
No one
theft.
wants to talk about this shit. Are we the only ones to talk about this shit?
There's probably hundreds of millions of dollars monthly in identity theft gets run through Snap.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you take a fraction of what Social Security was, right? That Doge uncovered, apply it to Snap. I mean, I even heard that again. The 70% you speak of, these people are loading up, but they're loading up and then reselling it and then sending the money back to their countries. So there's 50 cents on the dollar. They're selling these off on the black market.
I mean, there's families bringing in $3,000-4,000 a month and selling it, and doing the point of sale and getting the cash from the register. You see those raids that they do, but it's all you need is a new tax ID number. You don't even need a storefront to do the processing. So the fraud must be huge.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. What's your thoughts, misinformation? What battle are we fighting to choosing to fight today?
So, local battle, but no worldwide, actually. Satan. Can I tell you? I'm fighting
Not
Satan
today,
every day.
Satan!
That's a good one.
Yeah, I had a X space today under the Save the Persecuted Christians account. It was supposed to be with people from around the world praying for the International Day of the Persecuted Church. And I had a dentist appointment. I came back and they were putting a new fiber around here, and they cut my internet. They literally twice my lines. Like,
Oh my gosh.
of all days, right? It's
That's
like,
crazy.
why would you do a Satan?
What are the odds?
It tries to
Hey,
silence.
shout out to Nicki Minaj for backing Trump on Nigeria.
Yeah,
That was huge.
yeah. And Bill Maher, huge credit to him too. And he's the one that really kind of started it in that arena on the left when he started talking about it. So, but yeah, anyway. So that was my battle today, and then I'm fighting ISIS on X, finding as I did with kind of the ISIS hunter, finding a lot of their handles and trying to get us shut down.
So that leads me to kind of the original tone of this. Hang on one.
Did you lose him?
I'm just heading out to my car. Hang on 2 seconds. But go ahead. You can keep talking.
Was it like coffee talk? Welcome up to his house.
All right. I'm going to be transferring to my car. There's 3 tenets of Islamification. Are you guys familiar with that?
What, Jerusalem salad, shawarma, and chicken kebab?
Well, that sounds pretty good right now.
Killing it over here.
Misinformation. Are you familiar with, I guess, how they operate when they come into a country?
Sorry. I'm getting a gazillion messages in the back. So marriage is one, but I don't know if that's what you're talking about. So
Yeah, I think that's within the first stages. I mean, we could talk about, migration, but let me pull it up here because I want your opinion on this. Where is it?
well, yeah, migration is to non-Islamic lands to other lands. It's what it does is it's supposed to be one of the highest ways to cleanse you of sin is to go in and then spread to non-Islamic lands.
Right. I mean, they did it for 84 times. They took over countries. I'm just trying to find it here. Gosh, I wish I had pulled it up earlier. But there's 3 stages, and the first is they come into an area, and because they are outnumbered, again, this is a long-term thing, they get along with everybody. They're nice, they're friendly, they're docile, they're subservient in their gestures, and I mean, that's literally how they operate.
kind of mind their own business, right? Stage 2 is they get a little bit more vocal. They get involved in politics. I watched something the other day, really interesting. This guy broke it down. I think I got the video saved, but he broke it down, basically saying they'll come into neighborhoods in one house, and they come in with 6, 7. They average 9 kids, just so you know, per household. They go right on the system, of course, because they get the money. They get involved in the schools. All right. They get involved in the school board. In fact, I saw one where the entire school board was Muslim. They get involved in community politics. People move out of those neighborhoods that don't want to be that close. All right. They move out. Guess who moves in? Prices go down. Guess who moves in? Relatives, friends, other ones that are comfortable in those neighborhoods. And eventually they get involved in politics. And now their voices are coming out. All right. You see them. We see them all over. There's 9.
Hello. Hi, John. This is Virelli from the Home Depot on Kimball and Addison. I am calling because you had a few questions regarding carpet and flooring. I know that you had asked if we have to do 2 separate measures. No, we only have to do 1 measure in order for us to install carpet and flooring. But yeah, if you have any additional questions, please give me a call back at 773-463-6306. And my
Like that.
For you.
Here's the from a funeral home and an insurance company. Even if you don't have direct deposit set up with your job, most jobs.
This is snap.
know the personal, yet keep to the impersonal. Accept the world as it is. If you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you, and you will return to your primal self. The world is formed from the void, like utensils from a block of wood. The master knows the utensils, yet keeps to the block. Thus she can use all things. 29. Do you want to improve the world? I don't think it can be done. The world is sacred. It can't be improved. If you tamper with it, you'll ruin it. If you treat it like an object, you'll lose it. There is a time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, a time for being at rest, a time for being vigorous, a time for being exhausted, a time for being safe, a time for being in danger. The master sees things as they are, without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way and resides at the center of the circle. 30. Whoever relies on the Tao in governing men doesn't try to force issues or defeat enemies by force of arms. For every force, there is a counterforce. Violence, even well-intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. The master does his job and then stops. He understands that the universe is forever out of control, and that trying to dominate events goes against the current of the Tao. Because he believes in himself, he doesn't try to convince others. Because he is content with himself, he doesn't need others' approval. Because he accepts himself, the whole world accepts him. 31. Weapons are the tools of violence. All decent men detest them. Weapons are the tools of fear. A decent man will avoid them, except in the direst necessity, and if compelled, will use them only with the utmost restraint. Peace is his highest value. If the peace has been shattered, how can he be content? His enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. He doesn't wish them personal harm, nor does he rejoice in victory. How could he rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of men? He enters a battle gravely, with sorrow, and with great compassion. as if he were attending a funeral. 32. The Tao can't be perceived. Smaller than an electron, it contains uncountable galaxies. If powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. The world would become a paradise. All people would be at peace, and the law would be written in their hearts. When you have names and forms, know that they are provisional. When you have institutions, know where their functions should end. Knowing when to stop, you can avoid any danger. All things end in the Tao, as rivers flow into the sea. 33. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. If you stay in the center and embrace death with your whole
is not available. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Hey, this is John Kitover. I was calling about the pre-hearing meeting appointment. Number is 312-498-0517. It's 2:39 p.m. CST. About 9 minutes late. Sorry about that. Number is 312-498-0517. Thanks. Bye.
heart, you will endure forever.
Undroking process that leads all the way back to a single cell.
The great Tao flows everywhere. All things are born from it, yet it doesn't create them. It pours itself into its work, yet it makes no claim. It nourishes infinite worlds, yet it doesn't hold on to them. Since it is merged with all things and hidden in their hearts, it can be called humble. Since all things vanish into it, and it alone endures, it can be called great. It isn't aware of its greatness. Thus, it is truly great. 35. She who is centered in the Tao can go where she wishes without danger. She perceives the universal harmony, even amid great pain, because she has found peace in her heart.
Right now, I'm a little more quiet, just I'm on the quiet side of this ring.
Music or the smell of good cooking may make people stop and enjoy. But words that point to the Tao seem monotonous and without flavor. When you look for it, there is nothing to see.
But I'm gonna tell you that
Question affordability.
When you listen for it,
living here is top of everyone's mind.
there's
It's
nothing to hear.
extremely expensive to live here, to do anything here. So you're proposing free grocery stores,
When you use it,
free buses.
it is inexhaustible. 36. If you want to shrink something, you must first allow it to expand. If you want to get rid of something, you must first allow it to flourish. If you want to take something, you must first allow it to be given. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. Just show people the results. "37. The Tao never does anything, yet through it all things are done. If powerful men and women could center themselves in it, the whole world would be transformed by itself in its natural rhythms. People would be content with their simple, everyday lives, in harmony and free of desire. When there is no desire, all things are at peace." 38. The master doesn't try to be powerful. Thus, he is truly powerful. The ordinary man keeps reaching for power. Thus, he never has enough. The master does nothing, yet he leaves nothing undone. The ordinary man is always doing things, yet many more are left to be done. The kind man does something, yet something remains undone. The just man does something, and leaves many things to be done. The moral man does something, and when no one responds, he rolls up his sleeves and uses force. When the Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is morality. When morality is lost, there is ritual. Ritual is the husk of true faith, the beginning of chaos. Therefore, the master concerns himself with the depths and not the surface, with the fruit and not the flower. He has no will of his own. He dwells in reality and lets all illusions go. 39. In harmony with the Tao, The sky is clear and spacious. The earth is solid and full. All creatures flourish together, content with the way they are, endlessly repeating themselves, endlessly renewed. When man interferes with the Tao, the sky becomes filthy, the earth becomes depleted, the equilibrium crumbles, creatures become extinct. The master views the parts with compassion because he understands the whole. His constant practice is humility. He doesn't glitter like a jewel, but lets himself be shaped by the Tao, as rugged and common as a stone. 40. Return is the movement of the Tao. Yielding is the way of the Tao. All things are born of being. Being is born of non-being. When a superior man hears of the Tao, he immediately begins to embody it. When an average man hears of the Tao, he half believes it, half doubts it. When a foolish man hears of the Tao, he laughs out loud. If he didn't laugh, it wouldn't be the Tao. Thus it is said, the path into the light seems dark. The path forward seems to go back. The direct path seems long. True power seems weak. True purity seems tarnished. True steadfastness seems changeable. True clarity seems obscure. The greatest art seems unsophisticated. The greatest love seems indifferent. The greatest wisdom seems childish. The Tao is nowhere to be found, yet it nourishes and completes all things. 42. The Tao gives birth to one. One gives birth to two. Two gives birth to three. Three gives birth to all things. All things have their backs to the female and stand facing the male. When male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. Ordinary men hate solitude, but the Master makes use of it, embracing his aloneness, realizing he is one with the whole universe. 43. The gentlest thing in the world overcomes the hardest thing in the world. That which has no substance enters where there is no space. This shows the value of non-action. Teaching without words.
He tweets about not just that,
Performing
but
without
is
action.
relative to pro-Israel.
That is the master's
And then
way.
you're scrolling through your timeline and you see that same handle
44.
that all of a sudden has this glowing, long 2-3 paragraph of being pro-Palestinian. You're like, this can't be right. What the fuck just happened? This guy all of a sudden he's pro-Palestinian? You click on it to read it. All right? This is on right now on X. Click on it to read it. And the tweet or the X post says something that is actually pro-Israel. So there's spoofing going on right now on X. And this guy I've talked to. I've been on stages with him in spaces. Okay? He's shown in real time where he clicked on this X post, and I'm using the opposite of it, that this guy is normally pro-Israeli, but this post is pro-Palestinian, clicks on it, his real tweet or real X post has something to do about being pro-Palestinian. So there's something happening right now on X. So you got to be very, very, very careful with that. I don't know why I bring that up other than there's something fucking wonky going on. You had mentioned different types of posts and stuff like that, Shirley, so.
You know, I have not been diligent about I haven't been diligent about Twitter. But when I was very involved and I was pushing, I'm pro-life, okay, so that was my main thing. I was pushing. When they did the buildings pink, I got radicalized. So I'm pushing pro-life. And I was really, really watching my account. And an account would come in, it would look one way, and then you would be going through to check and see what was going on, and that account would have flipped and turned into a porn site. They will make their account look like they're one thing, and then after they get a bunch of followers, they'll change. The real thing will come out, and you don't want those people following you because
fame or integrity, which is more important? Money or happiness, which is more valuable? Success or failure, which is more destructive? If you look to others for fulfillment, you will never truly be fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never be happy with yourself. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. 45. True perfection seems imperfect, yet it is perfectly itself. True fullness seems empty, yet it is fully present. True straightness seems crooked. True wisdom seems foolish. True art seems artless. The master allows things to happen. She shapes events as they come. She steps out of the way and lets the Tao speak for itself. 46. When a country is in harmony with the Tao, the factories make trucks and tractors. When a country goes counter to the Tao, warheads are stockpiled outside the cities. There is no greater illusion than fear, no greater wrong than preparing to defend yourself, no greater misfortune than having an enemy. Whoever can see through all fear will always be safe. 47. Without opening your door, you can open your heart to the world. Without looking out your window, you can see the essence of the Tao. The more you know, the less you understand. The Master arrives without leaving, sees the light without looking, achieves without doing a thing. 48. In the pursuit of knowledge, every day something is added. In the practice of the Tao, every day something is dropped. Less and less do you need to force things, until finally you arrive at non-action. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. True mastery can be gained by letting things go their own way. It can't be gained by interfering. 49. The Master has no mind of her own. She works with the mind of the people. She is good to people who are good. She's also good to people who aren't good. This is true goodness. She trusts people who are trustworthy. She also trusts people who aren't trustworthy. This is true trust. The Master's mind is like space. People don't understand her. They look to her and wait. She treats them like her own children. 50. The Master gives himself up to whatever the moment brings. He knows that he is going to die, and he has nothing left to hold on to. No illusions in his mind, no resistance in his body. He doesn't think about his actions. They flow from the core of his being. He holds nothing back from life. Therefore, he is ready for death, as a man is ready for sleep after a good day's work. 51. Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. It springs into existence, unconscious, perfect, free, takes on a physical body, lets circumstances complete it. That is why every being spontaneously honors the Tao. The Tao gives birth to all beings, nourishes them, maintains them, cares for them, comforts them, protects them, takes them back to itself, creating without possessing, acting without expecting, guiding without interfering. That is why love of the Tao is in the very nature of things. "52. In the beginning was the Tao. All things issue from it. All things return to it. To find the origin, trace back the manifestations. When you recognize the children and find the mother, you will be free of sorrow. If you close your mind in judgments and traffic with desires, your heart will be troubled. If you keep your mind from judging and aren't led by the senses, your heart will find peace. Seeing into darkness is clarity. Knowing how to yield is strength. Use your own light and return to the source of light. This is called practicing eternity. 53. The great way is easy, yet people prefer the side paths. Be aware when things are out of balance. Stay centered within the Tao. When rich speculators prosper, while farmers lose their land, when government officials spend money on weapons instead of cures, when the upper class is extravagant and irresponsible, while the poor have nowhere to turn, all this robbery and chaos. It is not in keeping with the Tao. 54. Whoever is planted in the Tao will not be rooted up. Whoever embraces the Tao will not slip away. Her name will be held in honor from generation to generation. Let the Tao be present in your life, and you will become genuine. Let it be present in your family, and your family will flourish. Let it be present in your country, and your country will be an example to all countries in the world. Let it be present in the universe, and the universe will sing. How do I know this is true? By looking inside myself. 55. He who is in harmony with the Tao is like a newborn child. Its bones are soft, its muscles are weak, but its grip is powerful. It doesn't know about the union of male and female, yet its penis can stand erect. So intense is its vital power. It can scream its head off all day, yet it never becomes hoarse. So complete is its harmony. The Master's power is like this. He lets all things come and go effortlessly, without desire. He never expects results. Thus he is never disappointed. He is never disappointed. Thus his spirit never grows old. "56. Those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know. Close your mouth. Block off your senses. Blunt your sharpness. Untie your knots. Soften your glare. Settle your dust. This is the primal identity. Be like the Tao. Can't be approached or withdrawn from, benefited or harmed, honored or brought into disgrace. It gives itself up continually. That is why it endures. 57. If you want to be a great leader, you must learn to follow the Tao. Stop trying to control. Let go of fixed plans and concepts, and the world will govern itself. The more prohibitions you have, the less virtuous people will be. The more weapons you have, the less secure people will be. The more subsidies you have, the less self-reliant people will be. Therefore, the Master says, I let go of the law, and people become honest. I let go of economics, and people become prosperous. I let go of religion, and people become serene. I let go of all desire for the common good, and the good becomes common as grass. 58. If a country is governed with tolerance, the people are comfortable and honest. If a country is governed with repression, the people are depressed and crafty. When the will to power is in charge, the higher the ideals, the lower the results. Try to make people happy, and you lay the groundwork for misery. Try to make people moral, and you lay the groundwork for vice. Thus the Master is content to serve as an example and not to impose her will. She is pointed, but doesn't pierce. Straightforward, but supple. Radiant, but easy on the eyes. 59. For governing a country well, there is nothing better than moderation. The mark of a moderate man is freedom from his own ideas. Tolerant like the sky, all-pervading like sunlight, firm like a mountain, supple like a tree in the wind. He has no destination in view and makes use of anything life happens to bring his way. Nothing is impossible for him. Because he has let go, he can care for the people's welfare as a mother cares for her child. Governing a large country is like frying a small fish. You spoil it with too much poking. Center your country in the Tao, and evil will have no power. Not that it isn't there, but you'll be able to step out of its way. Give evil nothing to oppose, and it will disappear by itself. 61. When a country obtains great power, it becomes like the sea. All streams run downward into it. The more powerful it grows, the greater the need for humility. Humility means trusting the Tao, thus never needing to be defensive. A great nation is like a great man. When he makes a mistake, he realizes it. Having realized it, he admits it. Having admitted it, he corrects it. He considers those who point out his faults as his most benevolent teachers. He thinks of his enemy as the shadow that he himself casts. If a nation is centered in the Tao, if it nourishes its own people and doesn't meddle in the affairs of others, it will be a light to all nations in the world. 62. The Tao is the center of the universe, the good man's treasure, the bad man's refuge. Honors can be bought with fine words. Respect can be won with good deeds. But the Tao is beyond all value, and no one can achieve it. Thus, when a new leader is chosen, don't offer to help him with your wealth or your expertise. Offer instead to teach him about the Tao. Why did the ancient masters esteem the Tao? Because, being one with the Tao, when you seek, you find. And when you make a mistake, you are forgiven. That is why everybody loves it. 63. Act without doing. Work without effort. Think of the small as large, and the few as many. Confront the difficult while it is still easy. Accomplish the great task by a series of small acts. The master never reaches for the great. Thus she achieves greatness. When she runs into a difficulty, she stops and gives herself to it. She doesn't cling to her own comfort. Thus, problems are no problem for her. 64. What is rooted is easy to nourish. What is recent is easy to correct. What is brittle is easy to break. What is small is easy to scatter. Prevent trouble before it arises. Put things in order before they exist. A giant pine tree grows from a tiny sprout. The journey of 1,000 miles starts from beneath your feet. Rushing into action, you fail. Trying to grasp things, you lose them. Forcing a project to completion, you ruin what was almost ripe. Therefore, the master takes action by letting things take their course. He remains as calm at the end as at the beginning. He has nothing, thus has nothing to lose. What he desires is non-desire. What he learns is to unlearn. He simply reminds people of who they have always been. He cares about nothing but the Tao. Thus, he can care for all things. 65. The ancient masters didn't try to educate the people, but kindly taught them to not know. When they think that they know the answers, people are difficult to guide. When they know that they don't know, people can find their own way. If you want to learn how to govern, avoid being clever or rich. The simplest pattern is the clearest. Content with an ordinary life, you can show all people the way back to their own true nature. '66. All streams flow to the sea because it is lower than they are. Humility gives it its power. If you want to govern the people, you must place yourself below them. If you want to lead the people, you must learn how to follow them. The master is above the people, and no one feels oppressed. She goes ahead of the people, and no one feels manipulated. The whole world is grateful to her, because she competes with no one. No one can compete with her. 67. Some say that my teaching is nonsense. Others call it lofty, but impractical. But to those who have looked inside themselves, this nonsense makes perfect sense. And to those who put it into practice, this loftiness has roots that go deep. I have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. Simple in actions and in thoughts, you return to the source of being. Patient with both friends and enemies, you accord with the way things are. Compassionate toward yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. 68. The best athlete wants his opponent at his best. The best general enters the mind of his enemy. The best businessman serves the communal good. The best leader follows the will of the people. All of them embody the virtue of non-competition. Not that they don't love to compete, but they do it in the spirit of play. In this, they are like children, and in harmony with the Tao. 69. The generals have a saying: rather than make the first move, it is better to wait and see. Rather than advance an inch, it is better to retreat a yard. This is called going forward without advancing, pushing back without using weapons. There is no greater misfortune than underestimating your enemy. Underestimating your enemy means thinking that he is evil. Thus, you destroy your 3 treasures and become an enemy yourself. When 2 great forces oppose each other, the victory will go to the one that knows how to yield. 70. My teachings are easy to understand and easy to put into practice. Yet your intellect will never grasp them, and if you try to practice them, you'll fail. My teachings are older than the world. How can you grasp their meaning? If you want to know me, look inside your heart. 71. Not knowing is true knowledge. Presuming to know is a disease. First realize that you are sick. Then you can move toward health. The master is her own physician. She has healed herself of all knowing. Thus, she is truly whole. 72. When they lose their sense of awe, people turn to religion. When they no longer trust themselves, they begin to depend upon authority. Therefore, the master steps back so that people won't be confused. He teaches without a teaching so that people will have nothing to learn. 73. The Tao is always at ease. It overcomes without competing, answers without speaking a word, arrives without being summoned, accomplishes without a plan. Its net covers the whole universe, and though its meshes are wide, it doesn't let a thing slip through. 74. If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you will try to hold on to. If you aren't afraid of dying, there is nothing you can't achieve. Trying to control the future is like trying to take the master carpenter's place. When you handle the master carpenter's tools, chances are that you'll cut your hand. 75. When taxes are too high, people go hungry. When the government is too intrusive, people lose their spirit. Act for the people's benefit. Trust them. Leave them alone. 76. Men are born soft and supple. Dead, they are stiff and hard. Plants are born tender and pliant. Dead, they are brittle and dry. Thus, whoever is stiff and inflexible is a disciple of death. Whoever is soft and yielding is a disciple of life. The hard and stiff will be broken. The soft and supple will prevail. 77. As it acts in the world, the Tao is like the bending of a bow. The top is bent downward. The bottom is bent up. It adjusts excess and deficiency so that there is perfect balance. It takes from what is too much and gives to what isn't enough. Those who try to control, who use force to protect their power, go against the direction of the Tao. They take from those who don't have enough and give to those who have far too much. The master can keep giving because there is no end to her wealth. She acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and doesn't think that she is better than anyone else. 78. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it. The soft overcomes the hard. The gentle overcomes the rigid. Everyone knows this is true, but few can put it into practice. Therefore, the master remains serene in the midst of sorrow. Evil cannot enter his heart, because he has given up helping. He is people's greatest help. True words seem paradoxical. 79. Failure is an opportunity. If you blame someone else, there is no end to the blame. Therefore, the master fulfills her own obligations and corrects her own mistakes. She does what she needs to do and demands nothing of others. 80. If a country is governed wisely, its inhabitants will be content. They enjoy the labor of their hands and don't waste time inventing labor-saving machines. Since they dearly love their homes, they aren't interested in travel. There may be a few wagons and boats, but these don't go anywhere. There may be an arsenal of weapons, but nobody ever uses them. People enjoy their food, take pleasure in being with their families, spend weekends working in their gardens, delight in the doings of the neighborhood. And even though the next country is so close that people can hear its roosters crowing and its dogs barking, they are content to die of old age without ever having gone to see it. 81. True words aren't eloquent. Eloquent words aren't true. Wise men don't need to prove their point. Men who need to prove their point aren't wise. The master has no possessions. The more he does for others, the happier he is. The more he gives to others, the wealthier he is. The Tao nourishes by not forcing. By not dominating, the master leads. Tao Te Ching can be translated as the Book of the Imminence of the Way, or the Book of the Way and of how it manifests itself in the world, or simply the Book of the Way. Since it is already well known by its Chinese title, I have let that stand. About Lao Tzu, its author, there's practically nothing to be said. He may have been an older contemporary of Confucius, 551 to 479 BCE, and may have held the position of archive keeper in one of the petty kingdoms of the time. But all the information that has come down to us is highly suspect. Even the meaning of his name is uncertain. The most likely interpretations, the old master, or more picturesquely, the old boy. Like an Iroquois woodsman, he left no traces. All he left us is his book, the classic manual on the art of living, written in a style of gem-like lucidity, radiant with humor and grace, and large-heartedness and deep wisdom, one of the wonders of the world. People usually think of Lao Tzu as a hermit, a dropout from society, dwelling serenely in some mountain hut, unvisited except perhaps by the occasional traveler arriving from a 60s joke to ask, "What is the meaning of life?" But it's clear from his teachings that he deeply cared about society, if society means the welfare of one's fellow human beings. His book is, among other things, a treatise on the art of government, whether of a country or of a child. The misperception may arise from his insistence on wei wu wei, literally doing, not doing, which has been seen as passivity. Nothing could be further from the truth. A good athlete can enter a state of body awareness in which the right stroke or the right movement happens by itself, effortlessly, without any interference of the conscious will. This is a paradigm for non-action, the purest and most effective form of action. The game plays the game. The poem writes the poem. We can't tell the dancer from the dance. Less and less do you need to force things, until finally you arrive at non-action. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. Nothing is done because the doer has wholeheartedly vanished into the deed. The fuel has been completely transformed into flame. This nothing is in fact everything. It happens when we trust the intelligence of the universe in the same way that an athlete or a dancer trusts the superior intelligence of the body. Hence Lao Tzu's emphasis on softness. Softness means the opposite of rigidity, and is synonymous with suppleness, adaptability, endurance. Anyone who has seen a Tai Chi or Aikido master doing not doing will know how powerful this softness is. Lao Tzu's central figure is a man or woman whose life is in perfect harmony with the way things are. This is not an idea, it is a reality. I have seen it. The master has mastered nature, not in the sense of conquering it, but of becoming it. In surrendering to the Tao, in giving up all concepts, judgments, and desires, her mind has grown naturally compassionate. She finds, deep in her own experience, the central truths of the art of living, which are paradoxical only on the surface, that the more truly solitary we are, the more compassionate we can be. The more we let go of what we love, the more present our love becomes. The clearer our insight into what is beyond good and evil, the more we can embody the good. Until finally she is able to say, in all humility, I am the Tao, the truth, the life. The teaching of the Tao Te Ching is moral in the deepest sense, unencumbered by any concept of sin. The master doesn't see evil as a force to resist, but simply as an opaqueness, a state of self-absorption which is in disharmony with the universal process, so that, as with a dirty window, the light can't shine through. This freedom from moral categories allows him his great compassion for the wicked and the selfish. Thus the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. The listener will notice that in the many passages where Lao Tzu describes the master, I have used the pronoun she at least as often as he. The Chinese language doesn't make this kind of distinction. In English, we have to choose. But since we are all potentially the master, since the master is, essentially, us, I felt it would be untrue to present a male archetype, as other versions have, ironically, done. Ironically, because of all the great world religions, the teaching of Lao Tzu is by far the most female. Of course, you should feel free throughout the recording to substitute he for she, or vice versa. As to method, I worked from Paul Karas's literal version, which provides English equivalents, often very quaint ones, alongside each of the Chinese ideograms. I also consulted dozens of translations into English, German, and French. But the most essential preparation for my work was a 14 years long course of Zen training, which brought me face to face with Lao Tzu and his true disciples and heirs, the early Chinese Zen masters. With great poetry, the freest translation is sometimes the most faithful. We must try its effect as an English poem, Dr. Johnson said. That is the way to judge of the merit of a translation. I have often been fairly literal, or as literal as one can be with such a subtle, kaleidoscopic book as the Tao Te Ching. But I have also paraphrased, expanded, contracted, interpreted, worked with the text, played with it, until it became embodied in a language that felt genuine to me. If I haven't always translated Lao Tzu's words, my intention has always been to translate his mind. Describing the indescribable, teaching the unteachable, pointing the way to the way. What does Lao Tzu think he is doing here? It can't be done. No way. Hence, Po Chu-yi, poet and stand-up comedian, wrote, "He who talks doesn't know, he who knows doesn't talk." That is what Lao Tzu told us in a book of 5,000 words. If he was the one who knew, how could he have been such a blabbermouth? That's the problem with spiritual teachers. They have to be blabbermouths. But their words are, in the traditional Buddhist metaphor, fingers pointing at the moon. If you watch the finger, you can't see the moon. How meticulous the great masters had to be. A monk asked Matsu, "Why do you teach mind is Buddha?" Matsu said, "To stop a baby from crying." The monk said, "When the crying has stopped, what then?" Matsu said, "Then I teach, not mind, not Buddha." The monk said, "How about someone who isn't attached to either?" Matsu said, "I would tell him, not beings." The monk said, "And what if you met a man unattached to all things? What would you tell him?" Matsu said, "I would just let him experience the great Tao." In fact, the truth is right before our eyes, right under our noses. So simple that every child understands it. And yet, as Bankei said, the farther you enter into it, the deeper it is. Where is the way to the way? What a question. Still, for complicated minds, drastic measures are needed. Lao Tzu's book was written as a response out of grandmotherly kindness. According to the oldest biography, Lao Tzu lived for a long time in the country of Chu, but seeing its decline, he departed. When he reached the frontier, the guard said, "Since you are going away, sir, could you write a book to teach me the art of living?" Thereupon, Lao Tzu wrote his book about the Tao and departed. This is legend, but it is an accurate description of the way in which true teaching happens. He who knows doesn't talk, but words are no hindrance for him. He uses them as he would use gardening tools. When someone asks, he answers. Tao Te Ching. 1. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness. The gateway to all understanding. 2. Therefore the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. 3. If you overesteem great men, people become powerless. If you overvalue possessions, people begin to steal. The master leads by emptying people's minds and filling their cores, by weakening their ambition and toughening their resolve. He helps people lose everything they know, everything they desire, and creates confusion in those who think that they know. Practice not doing, and everything will fall into place. 4. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. 5. The Tao doesn't take sides. It gives birth to both good and evil. The Master doesn't take sides. She welcomes both saints and sinners. The Tao is like a bellows. It is empty, yet infinitely capable. The more you use it, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you understand. Hold on to the center. 6. The Tao is called the Great Mother. Empty, yet inexhaustible, it gives birth to infinite worlds. It is always present within you. You can use it any way you want. 7. The Tao is infinite, eternal. Why is it eternal? It was never born, thus it can never die. Why is it infinite? It has no desires for itself, thus it is present for all beings. The Master stays behind. That is why she is ahead. She is detached from all things, That is why she is one with them. Because she has let go of herself, she is perfectly fulfilled. 8. The supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It is content with the low places that people disdain. Thus, it is like the Tao. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. 9. Fill your bowl to the brim, and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife, and it will blunt. Chase after money and security, and your heart will never unclench. Care about people's approval, and you will be their prisoner. Do your work, then step back. The only path to serenity. 10. Can you coax your mind from its wandering and keep to the original oneness? Can you let your body become supple as a newborn child's? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but the light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events take their course? Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things? Giving birth and nourishing, having without possessing, acting with no expectations, leading and not trying to control. This is the supreme virtue. 11. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center whole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. 12. Colors blind the eye. Sounds deafen the ear. Flavors numb the taste. Thoughts weaken the mind. Desires wither the heart. The master observes the world, but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. His heart is open as the sky. 13. Success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear. What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet on the ground, you will always keep your balance. What does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. When we don't see the self as self, what do we have to fear? See the world as yourself. Have faith in the way things are. Love the world as yourself. Then you can care for all things. 14. Look, and it can't be seen. Listen, and it can't be heard. Reach, and it can't be grasped. Above, it isn't bright. Below, it isn't dark. Seamless, unnameable, it returns to the realm of nothing. Form that includes all forms. Image without an image. Subtle, beyond all conception. Approach it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You can't know it, but you can be it, at ease in your own life. Just realize where you come from. This is the essence of wisdom. 15. The ancient masters were profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. All we can describe is their appearance. They were careful as someone crossing an iced-over stream, alert as a warrior in enemy territory, courteous as a guest, fluid as melting ice, shapeable as a block of wood, receptive as a valley, clear as a glass of water. Do you have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? The master doesn't seek fulfillment. Not seeking, not expecting. She is present and can welcome all things. 16. Empty your mind of all thoughts. Let your heart be at peace. Watch the turmoil of beings, but contemplate their return. Each separate being in the universe returns to the common source. Returning to the source is serenity. If you don't realize the source, You stumble in confusion and sorrow. When you realize where you come from, you naturally become tolerant, disinterested, amused, kind-hearted as a grandmother, dignified as a king. Immersed in the wonder of the Tao, you can deal with whatever life brings you. And when death comes, you are ready. 17. When the master governs, the people are hardly aware that he exists. Next best is a leader who is loved. Next, one who is feared. The worst is one who is despised. If you don't trust the people, you make them untrustworthy. The master doesn't talk, he acts. When his work is done, the people say, "Amazing, we did it, all by ourselves." 18. When the great Tao is forgotten, goodness and piety appear. When the body's intelligence declines, cleverness and knowledge step forth. When there is no peace in the family, filial piety begins. When the country falls into chaos, patriotism is born. 19. Throw away holiness and wisdom, and people will be 100 times happier. Throw away morality and justice, and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit, and there won't be any thieves. If these aren't enough, just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course. 20. Stop thinking and end your problems. What difference between yes and no? What difference between success and failure? Must you value what others value, avoid what others avoid? How ridiculous. Other people are excited, as though they were at a parade. I alone don't care. I alone am expressionless, like an infant before it can smile. Other people have what they need. I alone possess nothing. I alone drift about like someone without a home. I am like an idiot, my mind is so empty. Other people are bright. I alone am dark. Other people are sharp. I alone am dull. Other people have a purpose. I alone don't know. I drift like a wave on the ocean. I blow as aimless as the wind. I am different from ordinary people. I drink from the Great Mother's breasts. 21. The Master keeps her mind always at one with the Tao. That is what gives her her radiance. The Tao is ungraspable. How can her mind be at one with it? Because she doesn't cling to ideas. The Tao is dark and unfathomable. How can it make her radiant? Because she lets it. Since before time and space were, the Tao is. It is beyond is and is not. How do I know this is true? I look inside myself and see. 22. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. The Master, by residing in the Tao, sets an example for all beings. Because he doesn't display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Because he doesn't know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. When the ancient masters said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they weren't using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you be truly yourself. "23. Express yourself completely, then keep quiet. Be like the forces of nature. When it blows, there is only wind. When it rains, there is only rain. When the clouds pass, the sun shines through. If you open yourself to the Tao, you are at one with the Tao, and you can embody it completely. If you open yourself to insight, you are at one with insight, and you can use it completely. If you open yourself to loss, you are at one with loss, and you can accept it completely. Open yourself to the Tao, then trust your natural responses, and everything will fall into place. 24. He who stands on tiptoe doesn't stand firm. He who rushes ahead doesn't go far. He who tries to shine dims his own light. He who defines himself can't know who he really is. He who has power over others can't empower himself. He who clings to his work will create nothing that endures. If you want to accord with the Tao, just do your job, then let go. 25. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it the Tao. It flows through all things, inside and outside, and returns to the origin of all things. The Tao is great. The universe is great. Earth is great. Man is great. These are the four great powers. Man follows the earth. Earth follows the universe. The universe follows the Tao. The Tao follows only itself. 26. The heavy is the root of the light. The unmoved is the source of all movement. Thus the master travels all day without leaving home. However splendid the views, she stays serenely in herself. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your root. If you let restlessness move you, you lose touch with who you are. 27. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent upon arriving. A good artist lets his intuition lead him wherever it wants. A good scientist has freed himself of concepts and keeps his mind open to what is. Thus the master is available to all people and doesn't reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you don't understand this, you will get lost, however intelligent you are. It is the great secret. 28. Know the male, yet keep to female. Receive the world in your arms. If you receive the world, the Tao will never leave you, and you will be like a little child. Know the white, yet keep to the black. Be a pattern for the world. If you are a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you, and there will be nothing you can't do. Know the personal, yet keep to the impersonal. Accept the world as it is. If you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you, and you will return to your primal self. The world is formed from the void, like utensils from a block of wood. The master knows the utensils, yet keeps to the block. Thus she can use all things. 29. Do you want to improve the world? I don't think it can be done. The world is sacred. It can't be improved. If you tamper with it, you'll ruin it. If you treat it like an object, you'll lose it. There's a time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, a time for being at rest, a time for being vigorous, a time for being exhausted, a time for being safe, a time for being in danger. The master sees things as they are, without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way and resides at the center of the circle. 30. Whoever relies on the Tao in governing men doesn't try to force issues or defeat enemies by force of arms. For every force, there is a counterforce. Violence, even well-intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. The master does his job and then stops. He understands that the universe is forever out of control, and that trying to dominate events goes against the current of the Tao. Because he believes in himself, he doesn't try to convince us. Because he is content with himself, he doesn't need others' approval. Because he accepts himself, the whole world accepts him. 31. Weapons are the tools of violence. All decent men detest them. Weapons are the tools of fear. A decent man will avoid them, except in the direst necessity, and if compelled, will use them only with the utmost restraint. Peace is his highest value. If the peace has been shattered, how can he be content? His enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. He doesn't wish them personal harm, nor does he rejoice in victory. How could he rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of men? He enters a battle gravely, with sorrow, and with great compassion, as if he were attending a funeral. 30. Knowing when to stop, you can avoid any danger. All things end in the Tao, as rivers flow into the sea. 33. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. If you stay in the center and embrace death with your whole heart, you will endure forever. 34. The great Tao flows everywhere. All things are born from it, yet it doesn't create them. It pours itself into its work, yet it makes no claim. It nourishes infinite worlds, yet it doesn't hold on to them. Since it is merged with all things and hidden in their hearts, it can be called humble. Since all things vanish into it, and it alone endures, it can be called great. It isn't aware of its greatness. Thus, it is truly great. 35. She who is centered in the Tao can go where she wishes without danger. She perceives the universal harmony, even amid great pain, because she has found peace in her heart. Music or the smell of good cooking may make people stop and enjoy, but words that point to the Tao seem monotonous and without flavor. When you look for it, there is nothing to see. When you listen for it, there is nothing to hear. When you use it, it is inexhaustible. 36. If you want to shrink something, you must first allow it to expand. If you want to get rid of something, you must first allow it to flourish. If you want to take something, you must first allow it to be given. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. This is called the subtle perception of the way things are. The soft overcomes the hard. The slow overcomes the fast. Let your workings remain a mystery. Just show people the results. "37. The Tao never does anything, yet through it all things are done. If powerful men and women could center themselves in it, the whole world would be transformed by itself in its natural rhythms. People would be content with their simple, everyday lives, in harmony and free of desire. When there is no desire, all things are at peace." 38. The Master doesn't try to be powerful. Thus, he is truly powerful. The ordinary man keeps reaching for power. Thus, he never has enough. The Master does nothing, yet he leaves nothing undone. The ordinary man is always doing things, yet many more are left to be done. The kind man does something, yet something remains undone. The just man does something, and leaves many things to be done. The moral man does something, and when no one responds, he rolls up his sleeves and uses force. When the Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is morality. When morality is lost, there is ritual. Ritual is the husk of true faith, the beginning of chaos. Therefore, the Master concerns himself with the depths and not the surface, with the fruit and not the flower. He has no will of his own. He dwells in reality and lets all illusions go. 39. In harmony with the Tao, the sky is clear and spacious. The earth is solid and full. All creatures flourish together, content with the way they are, endlessly repeating themselves, endlessly renewed. When man interferes with the Tao, the sky becomes filthy, the earth becomes depleted, the equilibrium crumbles, creatures become extinct. The Master views the parts with compassion because he understands the whole. His constant practice is humility. He doesn't glitter like a jewel, but lets himself be shaped by the Tao, as rugged and common as a stone. 40. Return is the movement of the Tao. Yielding is the way of the Tao. All things are born of being. Being is born of non-being. When a superior man hears of the Tao, he immediately begins to embody it. When an average man hears of the Tao, he half believes it, half doubts it. When a foolish man hears of the Tao, he laughs out loud. If he didn't laugh, it wouldn't be the Tao. Thus it is said, the path into the light seems dark. The path forward seems to go back. The direct path seems long. True power seems weak. True purity seems tarnished. True steadfastness seems changeable. True clarity seems obscure. The greatest art seems unsophisticated. The greatest love seems indifferent. The greatest wisdom seems childish. The Tao is nowhere to be found, yet it nourishes and completes all things. 42. The Tao gives birth to one. One gives birth to two. Two gives birth to three. Three gives birth to all things. All things have their backs to the female and stand facing the male. When male and female combine, all things achieve harmony. Ordinary men hate solitude, but the Master makes use of it, embracing his aloneness, realizing he is one with the whole universe. 43. The gentlest thing in the world overcomes the hardest thing in the world. That which has no substance enters where there is no space. This shows the value of non-action. Teaching without words, forming without actions. That is the Master's way. 44. Fame or integrity, which is more important? Money or happiness, which is more valuable? Success or failure, which is more destructive? If you look to others for fulfillment, you will never truly be fulfilled. If your happiness depends on money, you will never be happy with yourself. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. 45. True perfection seems imperfect, yet it is perfectly itself. True fullness seems empty, yet it is fully present. True straightness seems crooked. True wisdom seems foolish. True art seems artless. The Master allows things to happen. She shapes events as they come. She steps out of the way and lets the Tao speak for itself. 46. When a country is in harmony with the Tao, the factories make trucks and tractors. When a country goes counter to the Tao, warheads are stockpiled outside the cities. There is no greater illusion than fear, no greater wrong than preparing to defend yourself, no greater misfortune than having an enemy. Whoever can see through all fear will always be safe. "47. Without opening your door, you can open your heart to the world. Without looking out your window, you can see the essence of the Tao. The more you know, the less you understand." The Master arrives without leaving, sees the light without looking, achieves without doing a thing. 48. In the pursuit of knowledge, every day something is added. In the practice of the Tao, every day something is dropped. Less and less do you need to force things, until finally you arrive at non-action. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. True mastery can be gained by letting things go their own way. It can't be gained by interfering. 49. The Master has no mind of her own. She works with the mind of the people. She is good to people who are good. She's also good to people who aren't good. This is true goodness. She trusts people who are trustworthy. She also trusts people who aren't trustworthy. This is true trust. The Master's mind is like space. People don't understand her. They look to her and wait. She treats them like her own children. 50. The Master gives himself up to whatever the moment brings. He knows that he is going to die, and he has nothing left to hold on to. No illusions in his mind, no resistances in his body. He doesn't think about his actions. They flow from the core of his being. He holds nothing back from life. Therefore, he is ready for death, as a man is ready for sleep after a good day's work. 51. Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. It springs into existence, unconscious, perfect, free, takes on a physical body, lets circumstances complete it. That is why every being spontaneously honors the Tao. The Tao gives birth to all beings, nourishes them, maintains them, cares for them, comforts them, protects them, takes them back to itself, creating without possessing, acting without expecting, guiding without interfering. That is why love of the Tao is in the very nature of things. "52. In the beginning was the Tao. All things issue from it. All things return to it. To find the origin, trace back the manifestations. When you recognize the children and find the mother, you will be free of sorrow. If you close your mind in judgments and traffic with desires, your heart will be troubled. If you keep your mind from judging and aren't led by the senses, your heart will find peace. Seeing into darkness is clarity. Knowing how to yield is strength. Use your own light and return to the source of light. This is called practicing eternity. 53. The great way is easy, yet people prefer the side paths. Be aware when things are out of balance. Stay centered within the Tao. When rich speculators prosper, while farmers lose their land, when government officials spend money on weapons instead of cures, when the upper class is extravagant and irresponsible, while the poor have nowhere to turn, all this is robbery and chaos. It is not in keeping with the Tao. 54. Whoever is planted in the Tao will not be rooted up. Whoever embraces the Tao will not slip away. Her name will be held in honor from generation to generation. Let the Tao be present in your life, and you will become genuine. Let it be present in your family, and your family will flourish. Let it be present in your country, and your country will be an example to all countries in the world. Let it be present in the universe, and the universe will sing. How do I know this is true? By looking inside myself. 55. He who is in harmony with the Tao is like a newborn child. Its bones are soft, its muscles are weak, but its grip is powerful. It doesn't know about the union of male and female, yet its penis can stand erect. So intense is its vital power. It can scream its head off all day, yet it never becomes hoarse.
He's got a lot of. He's going to have a lot of.
So complete
And Jamie
is its
Dimon has
harmony.
offered to be his financial consultant. So I think
The
they
master's
realize
power is
he
like
knows
this.
nothing. He's like Sergeant Schultz.
Yes.
He
Let's all
knows
things
nothing.
come
Although
and
Sergeant
go
Schultz saw nothing. He knows
effortlessly,
nothing.
without desire. He never expects results. Thus he is never disappointed. He is never disappointed. Thus his spirit never grows old. "56. Those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know."
And a
Close your
disreputable
mouth.
Democrat who, quite frankly, is the worst candidate possibly to ever run a campaign. Okay, Cuomo. Stiff, inarticulate, lazy. I don't know what else to say about him. So the Democratic Socialist is probably going to win. But I think the rise of Democratic Socialists within the Democratic Party is one of the issues that will limit Democratic Party progress at the national level, and why we're probably going to have sort of a permanent Republican majority, both in the House and in the Senate for the foreseeable future. I'll leave it there. Thanks, Gary.
Can I ask Dominic a question?
I'm just going to say, I'm looking at Scott's blood pressure monitor. When he heard that permanent Republican majority, it went through the freaking roof. Yes,
Blood
Scott.
pressure is so calm and so regular, buddy. I'm as healthy as a horse.
Scott meditates. He's cool.
Dominic, if Trump doesn't fear confrontation, right? And he was a big doer of things, which I think he is, right? Why doesn't he just pull Thune in and say, you get rid of that damn filibuster?
Thune says he doesn't have the votes. At least that's what he said yesterday.
He said, look, I'll bully every Republican in the Senate with you and tell them they'll never be elected dog catcher because I'll turn the whole MAGA movement against all of them.
All right, Scott, give me 30 Democrats to vote for the end of the filibuster. I'll get you 30 Republicans. Is that a deal?
I'll tell you though, wouldn't we need, do you need 60 votes to end the filibuster? I didn't think you needed 60 votes to end it. It's just a procedural rule, right?
Well, just split it with you. Whatever you get.
But I'm just saying, why don't the Republicans use this moment to kill Obamacare and replace it with something better?
Why don't you help me? Why don't you come and help me and partner with me, Scott, and deliver as many Democrat votes?
Scott, the answer is obvious, is we don't have anything to replace it.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? Americans by a 34-point margin view the Affordable Care Act favorably. When you go to Democrats, it's 84% favorable to 6% unfavorable. Independents, it's a 20-point margin. Even among Republicans, it's a 12-point. It goes 34-point favorable or whatever. It's even Republicans like it.
What is?
The CIA. So it's just interesting. Even Republicans, higher favorable than unfavorable.
Yeah, but
a lot of Republicans are on it.
Scott, my point was that nobody cares. That's all.
Well, then if it's not a lightning rod issue, why not just eat the $350 billion over 10 years? That's nothing. We spend that on programs to make sheep farmers feel good about themselves. That's
because
actually something.
Trump wants to remodel and renovate the American government. And this is a bump in the road along the way of doing that. That's why.
I think that I admire that kind of pluck, and I almost wish, despite the fact that I like Obamacare, I think I would like to see him repeal it just for the sort of drama. But I don't think these people mean it. I think these Republicans, it's bullshit. I think if you push them, they wouldn't repeal it because they don't have an idea better, and because a lot of their members, their voters like it. So I think they just say this stuff. I think it's all theater.
60 votes, Scott. So the point is, if you need 60 votes for closure in order to end the filibuster, then you need 60 votes to pass a continuing resolution. So it's the same 60 votes. So why?
No, that's not right, Gary. Gary, you need 60 votes for closure, not to pass.
Yeah, you could pass a. No, you could get the filibuster with a simple majority.
You need 60 votes to end the filibuster, right?
No, you need 60 votes to end a filibuster. You need 60 votes to end a filibuster.
Correct.
You need a simple majority to amend the Senate rules.
Well, that's a different question.
Yeah. I'm okay with that, Scott, and I will repeat my bipartisan plan, Scott, for you to deliver 24 or 25 votes on the Democrat side. Now I'll deliver the rest on the Republican side. But I don't think any Democrat will vote to end the filibuster. I'm just kind of shoving the beer on your side of the table, Scott.
You might be right. I don't know.
By the way, the Brookings Institute, for what it's worth, says to formally change the Senate standing rules, such as Rule 22, Rule 22, XXII, Rule 22, to eliminate or alter the filibuster. The rule itself says it will require a vote of 2/3 of the senators present and voting while changing a rule by regular means. That means typically around 67 if all 100 are present. So it's even more, according to this, that you need in order to change the rule, much less end the filibuster. If that's accurate, why bother with the nuclear option when you need 6 votes to pass the continuing resolution? Just work to get those 60 votes. It's the same 60 votes.
The reason is, Gary, that you're inaccurate about the votes needed to impose the nuclear option. It's a simple majority to change.
Well, I'm not inaccurate. The Brookings Institution is inaccurate. I'm just the messenger, baby. I'm just reading what's in front of me.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Well, all right. If all they need is 50 votes to change the rule,
51,
let them change the rule. Easy peasy, right?
That's it. Well,
then why did Thune say he doesn't have the votes?
I'll deliver as many votes as Scott.
Because Thune doesn't think he can get 51 Republican votes.
And you can't get.
He might not be able to.
You can't get one.
You might not get, and Dominic, I think right now the reason you might not, even though Democrats consistently poll as being against it, is I think in the era of Trump, this is the only weapon they see themselves as having, right? And so I think it's and look, I think Thune here represents the conservative mindset better than Trump does, right? Trump's not a conservative. I think the filibuster is a fundamentally conservative rule, right? It's one that says big change. You got to be wary of big changes, and any change that's big should require a supermajority, should require broad coalitions. So it's not a sort of progressives don't think like that, right? And so I think Thune is doing actually justice to the small c conservative spirit here in a way that Trump is not.
Well, listen, I'm going to agree with you, Scott, on that. I think the moderate position on both sides of the aisle is to keep the filibuster. I was just pulling your leg on the vote, but we have an iconoclast as a president. He is not, as I said earlier, a typical, got a yellow streak running down his back politician. And that's the distinction. So you got to deal with it. And I don't think that most people want to deal with the personality type that he represents or that he is. We don't elect people like that, generally speaking.
So I can say on the other side, I can use my adjective that the members of Congress are scared to death of coming up against the president. Can I use scared for that?
As much as a normal...
Thank you. I wanted to use it so badly.
What was it? Gary, could you repeat it?
Yeah, I said, can I use that? Can I use the terminology that I use for the president with regard to the midterms, then to the members of Congress who are, and you're going to use the same term because I want to use it so badly and you took it away from me, that the members of Congress are scared to death to stand up to the president.
Well,
can I say that?
All members of Congress are naturally scared, okay? That's a 100% truism. So it's not a party-based personality trait.
See, I know how to work my editors, Dominic. I know how to work my editors to get in what I want to get into the story.
Right.
Thank you, Dominic. Brent, followed by Steve. Brent.
Okay, so just to clarify, it takes 50 plus the vice president to overrule the parliamentarian in the Senate. So if you want to do that, which the Republicans actually did on nominations not too long ago, that's when you require 50 plus 1 votes. If you want to actually kind of formally change the Senate rules, it is a 67 number, which rarely.
Oh, so I wasn't wrong.
Yeah, well, you're kind of wrong because.
Well, I wasn't wrong because I read verbatim what was in front of me, so I wasn't wrong.
Well, to do this quote unquote nuclear option, which is essentially overruling the parliamentarian and changing Senate precedent, that is the 50 plus the vice president, which gets rid of filibuster.
The filibuster or a filibuster?
The filibuster. If you overrule the parliamentarian, you set Senate precedent, and once you set Senate precedent, you have new Senate rules.
So Scott was right again? Scott was right again?
Yes, Scott is correct.
For God's sakes. I'm tired of this. He's always right. It's disgusting. Be wrong once in a while, Scott. Show that you're human.
I mean, you haven't asked how many times I've been divorced, Gary.
Well, I was talking to those women, and we'll talk about that later. Go ahead, Brent.
So, for a country that doesn't care about any of this, it is odd that Trump's approval ratings are at its lowest point of a second term. I always look at Nate Silver's average. That average is as low as it's ever been. I mean, some of his recent polling, CNN poll had him at 37% approval, 63% disapproval. Economists had him at 39% approval, 57% disapproval. These are the polling. This is about what he was polling. When he left office after January 6th, and he was polling higher than this when he got creamed in the midterms last time. So let's don't forget that the midterms during the last Trump administration, he was pretty unpopular. Not as unpopular as he is right now, but he was pretty unpopular, and the Republican Party got creamed.
So are you suggesting, Brent, that in large measure the midterms will be a referendum on the president?
And they're always a referendum on the president, so I'm not suggesting that. That's just historical norms. So, what I'd suggest is politically, this shutdown is working relatively well for Democrats. I mean, there's no polling that shows that they're doing bad and doing bad politically. You had NBC polling showed that their generic ballot poll, they're up 8 points, which is a huge jump. I suspect these kind of off-year elections will go pretty well for the Democrats. If you look at the poly markets right now, you see the people who are really paying attention to early returns and voter turnout. Republican chances are dropping remarkably quick, and Democratic probabilities of winning are going up. So, politically, I think this is going relatively well. But it still doesn't go well if you're a SNAP beneficiary, if you're a person that is dependent on the ACA or need the ACA for healthcare. It doesn't go well for them. And the Democratic Party has always had a threat of being the party of responsibility. So, they are starting, at least the moderate members of the Democratic Party are starting to come to the table. And the developing deal, at least for Punch Bowl and other kind of people who cover Congress, is basically a minibus bill that would fund ag, defense, and the ledge branch, so their staffers get paid for the whole year, and then do a CR until December 19th, which you're off one of the possibly another cliff until the 19th, but that's kind of what's being developed. That said, I don't think that is a done deal until the man in the White House does so, and I kind of think he will blow it up and kind of go to nuke the filibuster, which is something I've mentioned before. I think would be good for the country. I think the filibuster is a pretty counterproductive tool for American democracy.
And I'm
We'd be
gonna
better
say I'm gonna
off
introduce you, and then I'm gonna tell them.
killing it because I think
Tell them
when
what you
Republicans
think
win a
about Trump.
trifecta,
No, I
there's
can't
got to
right
be
now.
policy ramifications for that, and when Democrats
We're about to go.
win it, there's
I
got to
don't
be
have
policy
the energy
ramifications
to
got it.
that
You
allows
got
voters
this.
to
Let me get you a cashew. You stay right
No, I
there.
don't.
what you have now is kind of a stasis
I
in
can't
American
do
politics,
it.
and I think that's bad for everybody. So I personally think it'd be good. That's the one thing I
I
agree
really
with Donald
can't
Trump
do
on.
it.
To Dominant's point, of course,
I'm
Democrats
too
aren't
weak.
really
Right
going to
there.
get
You sit back. I know you like. You can't get up. You can't even get up.
I'm too weak to even
essentially
Johnny.
not
It's
fix
okay.
Obamacare,
Eat that.
so they're not going to vote for
thoughts are gonna
that.
come with
No,
the
I
I
haven't
cashew.
think it was
eaten
enough
since
pressure.
breakfast.
I
It's
think,
okay. Eat up.
Donald
All of them at
Trump
once.
maybe
You
get
gotta
2
take
more
one
votes.
at
I
a
think he votes
time.
as the vice president to kill it.
Oh
and
no.
I kind of hope he does.
Oh no.
It's interesting, as you were talking, I was thinking about this, and I'm going to get some pushback, and that's fine. But it seems to me the Republicans, they really bristle at the idea of socialism, which many of them cannot distinguish from communism. And so it's a little bit of a red baiting that's going on here. So Republicans are opposed to socialism until you try to take away their Social Security, their Medicare, their Medicaid, their SNAP benefits, and we'll add our disdain for socialism and lay on top of that our hatred for Obama, but please don't take away our Obamacare. So,
I mean,
I think